Welding instructor Alex DeClaire knows VR training platforms like Forge FX help students master their skills.
There's a big learning curve with welding. Virtual reality simulates that exact muscle memory that they need.
Learn more at meta.com/metaverseimpact.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
If debit is your go-to card, Discover thinks it's time you get rewarded too. So, check out Discover Cashback Debit, a game-changing checking account with cash back on everyday debit card purchases. That's right, cashback isn't just for credit cards anymore. Whether it's a movie date, flea market find, or midday latte, you can start earning cash back. And did I mention there are no fees, period? Check out transaction eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
This episode brought to you by the following patrons. Min, Sex Caliber Bones a Lot, Madeline, Edward, Sunzi, Alyssa, Vixen, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Boezy, Jeremy, Allie, Mr. Ragebomb, Logan, Libby, Wes, Aaron, Kristen, Amy, Tia, Matthew, Jonathan, Isaac, and Karoon. And all the patrons want you to know that you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group where we hang out daily. Mikey's going to go full Reagan on this episode.
I mean, this movie raises a good question. Who cares about orphans?
Oh, no, Mikey!
This is the weirdest version of Annie I've ever seen.
I like that they were like inverse X-Men.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin on Page.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like watching scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, you guys made us watch The Orphanage. So, why did we watch this?
It's Foreign Horror Month, and we hadn't done this one, and this one is very, very famous.
Guillermo del Toro produced it.
Yeah.
I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it had heavy the changeling energy.
It does.
Yes.
Except it's like a bigger house, which is nuts because the changeling, like...
It's a bigger house.
Yeah, the changeling had like a pretty big mansion, though.
It's like a 3-2.
Yeah, but and you didn't see a wife and son get just demolished by a truck in the beginning, which...
No, but we saw an old lady get hit by an ambulance.
But that wasn't until the middle. That's a long way to wait for that.
That's true. It is like 33 minutes in.
Mikey's always just waiting for someone gets hit from a car.
No.
In a movie. Like, and if it doesn't, like, you're going to be real disappointed with Dune Part 2. That's all I'm saying.
I liked it, but it wasn't as good as, it wasn't as scary as I wanted.
Yeah, it's the same. I would agree.
I don't think it was as scary either. Although I'll probably rate it higher than both of you. I wasn't super scared by this.
Honestly, though, I think it's one of del Toro's best films.
It's really good.
Yeah, I felt like it was real good. I mean, I think Carlos is my favorite character of all time.
Carlos is the most rational person I've seen in a horror movie in I don't know how long.
And he draws his boundaries. Just like as a well-rounded person, he's like, we did our best.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave now because this is bad.
Well, you know, one of them survives the movie, right? So
he's the one who survives because he left.
I know.
And he even earlier on is like, so it seems like the house is haunted. What if we left?
We could just leave.
Good job, Carlos.
Remember how you got adopted because nothing was wrong with you?
Oh, no. Sorry. Carlos at the end of this movie is just like a single doctor ready to mingle.
Yeah.
With a creepy house he needs to burn down. But
sure. Or donate to somebody else. Yeah, like donate to a charity so nobody asks questions about where he was those 2 days. But I apologize in advance. I had to write this outline after staying up till 11 to see my friend in an opera that admittedly they did a great job, but the story made no sense.
It was one of them Latin operas.
No, it was in English, which was worse. I was fully prepared to like try and just use context clues for the story. Good thing I didn't have to, because it definitely, I would have been even more confused. I was confused in fucking English.
I would be the one asking for subtitles.
They had them. They had them, Todd.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yes. At the top of the stage, they had subtitles.
That's a mistake. They need to be in the bottom, just like TV.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's because the people were walking around on the stage at the bottom. And
Trash.
then there was the orchestra. And so in order for everyone to read them.
You're right, Paige. I'll wait for the movie. So anyway.
Yeah, good call. Good call. I'm just saying, I haven't slept much in like 2 days.
Good.
This is going to be a weird one.
Cool. I have to be on a plane in 6 hours.
Well, then let's talk about child illness. Do you guys think Laura was his real mom?
What?
No.
Emotionally.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, they had raised him from, like, a baby, right?
We know that they had him for some time, and he is very young, so I would assume at least a toddler or something. Yeah.
But it's like a revelation to him when he realizes, or he's told, that they're not related, really.
Yeah. Well, and he's very, very young. And I know that that's a very delicate conversation for people to have, and, you know.
For sure. But that means he was under 3 years old.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're about to Munchausen by proxy the kid.
They did not Munchausen, but Mikey, no, I don't have the strength.
Laura is the real villain.
No.
Oh, I see where this
Laura
is going.
murdered him. It showed us at the end.
I mean, listen, she leaves that orphanage and then all of them mysteriously die. Really?
That's what I'm saying.
Follow the berries page.
I mean, she did put the scaffolding there, which blocked the way for him to get out, which is how he fell. So, like,
yes, she murders this poor orphan that she took in.
She indirectly does.
That poor old lady was crossing the street looking both ways until
That's
Laura
true, until somebody
yelled at her.
She is like literally the connective tissue in every death.
Every death.
Yes.
Ooh.
Guys, I think we solved the case. Somebody called Del Toro.
Yeah. We'll get you the files in the morning, but wrap it up.
Guess who's going to have to do the paperwork?
She's like, my son's been missing. And I was like, she's in on it.
Well, okay, Mikey, I want you to think about, like, imagine what would have happened. And I, dead ass serious, if instead of at the end of the movie taking a whole bunch of sleeping pills and a really sad ending, if she had called the police and been like, I found him. He was in the basement the whole time. She's going to jail.
Yes.
Miss Ramsey, we need to interview you.
Yes! I have this handwritten letter that says that someone else kidnapped the child.
The kidnapper, air quotes, has left a letter.
Yeah, absolutely. She'd be public enemy number one. Nancy Grace would never stop talking about it. It would be a whole thing.
She knew. She knew at the end. That's why she had to join them in the spirit realm.
Yeah. I mean, we see her. Okay. Do we want to just go ahead and like trigger warning this? Because she does take her own life in this movie.
Yes.
And also kill her son and an old lady.
And 7 other orphans. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably everyone in the movie she had her hand in.
Well, I think the old lady killed the other orphans. But
Yeah, but what drove her to that page? Was it her forcing that child to hide in those caves under the lighthouse?
But she wasn't there. That was after she was adopted.
Yeah, that's what she says. The lady who's connected to a bunch of other deaths in this movie, so perhaps isn't the most reliable narrator.
Oh, you mean the outfit that fits her that she puts back on?
Oh my God, Mikey, she's wearing the outfit at the end of this movie. You're right. And it fits so perfectly.
I've got the red string right here.
Paige literally did turn around and grab red string like we were about to Pepe Sylvia, her like board behind her.
I will posit to the group that Laura's birth mother was old lady who murdered everyone, and they were in on it together, and she continued the legacy.
I don't think the film supports that, but I appreciate that you have found your own belief system.
Paige, can I just say something really quick? While Mikey was talking just now, he was like making hand gestures like he was Mike Myers in the beginning of So I Married an Axe Murderer, and that was adorable.
Yeah.
Let's go. Laura's the villain.
I mean, I think you're right, Mikey. I think there's evidence on the screen to suggest it.
Laura. hard-hearted harbinger of orphans.
They're like, look at that orphan. She's the blind one. I was like, why do you keep pointing her out specifically?
Oh, I know.
I felt like they were bullying her.
We saw them chasing her around in the beginning of the movie. That girl was going to be next if they didn't get Tomas first.
Oh, Tomas.
Oh.
Poor Tomas.
I mean, would you stay in the caves? Like, I would never go in the caves. Y'all can look at my face. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's mutually assured destruction in a way.
Oof.
Look, if you want to teach an orphan to swim, you have to put them in those caves. They either make it or they don't.
No.
Mikey, no. No, Mikey. No.
But I think between this and The Descent, I think it's fair to just say never go in caves.
Yeah. When he runs into the cave at the very beginning.
Simone.
Yeah, Simone. When he runs in, I literally wrote in my notes, I was like, someone better tell this kid what movie he's in.
Yeah.
Because he would not be running into this damn cave.
Yeah.
Which is where he finds
His
the
husband was
ghost.
cheating on him with his best friend. Oh, no, the ghost.
What? It's not a grotto page.
The ghost of Tomas.
I wonder who burned his face. Was it Laura?
I mean, that would have fit the timeline of when she was also at the orphanage. So maybe if we like extrapolate from other evidence that we certainly have, we could place blame on one character in this movie, and that's Laura.
And she bought the house to cover her tracks.
You know it's true.
You
She
know it's
conned a
true.
rich doctor into falling in love so he'd buy it for her.
There you go. Perfect plan.
Orphans are saying that this is true. Have you heard about this?
Have you heard about this? Have you talked about this? Have you heard from the orphans?
A lot of orphans are saying it, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of orphans are saying
A lot of
it.
orphans are saying it.
Yeah, it's big in the orphan community right now.
Yeah. It's like this and that other girl that's actually older than she looks.
Natalia Speaks is a
Oh,
insanely fun documentary. How dare you bring it up?
No, I meant the other orphan movie, but also Natalia Grace. Poor Natalia Grace.
Oh, yeah. Like, fully, I think she is a child, or was at the time.
100%. They have
Yeah.
like proved
Yeah,
it.
like inconclusively proved it. And she was just we don't have to talk about it.
The only reason there's more of that documentary is because they're like, do you think we can get her like adopted father to pound on the floor and cry again? Yeah, I think we could.
Or her new father.
We give him enough money for like Slurpees and shit, probably.
It is so performatively bad,
Yeah.
and I am here for it.
He's such a wild character.
I don't know if we've ever had this late night of energy, because we're starting this recording at like 11 p.m. my time.
Okay. Well, if y'all don't have the energy to say it, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
They played some dumb games like this 1, 2, 3 knock. Didn't even have a point.
It's like red light, green light, but also tag. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, it was
It
fun.
also set up one of the most effective like payoff scares in the movie.
Yeah.
That shit fucking terrified me. There are a lot of other really tense moments too, but they don't pay off. They don't like have as big of a scare as that moment.
Tomas attacking her was scary.
Oh, that
Yes.
was pretty good. That was
Yeah.
pretty good. There was a famous meme at the time when this movie came out called the Orphanage Cats. And if you have a cat at home, try this, because like every cat I've ever had has done this to a degree. You're walking down the hallway or whatever. You walk past your cat, you spot him down the hallway, duck into a doorway, and then peek back out, because they just get closer every time. It's just something cats do. And someone caught their cat doing it and overlaid like the audio from this movie on their cat doing it, like the kids doing it at the end.
I didn't realize it was the audio from this movie. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
That is exactly what those kids are doing, though.
It's the same one from Squid Games, the like, where the big doll that like says the thing,
yes.
the, like,
Yeah,
and I don't
yeah.
know the song, and they have to red light, green light, or else they get shot in the face.
It's just like that, except I would go full Mikey if that is what I saw when I turned around, and I would just start decking children until I ran out of the house.
Especially these kids.
Yes! What are they going to do? They're dead.
Is she still blind? Do they still have their leg problems and their other disabilities when they are dead?
Yes, they do, because we see at the end, and one of them still has a metal brace on his leg, like he's like half of the Forrest Gump as a child.
Well, let's unpack that, shall we?
Let's unpack it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like I have my ACL knee aches during rain when I'm a ghost. Like that sucks.
Oh, your knee aches during rain. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, you could have them dip you in the blood they dipped Whistler in, but it seems like it didn't help him either in Blade.
Well, he wasn't a ghost. He was a vampire.
Well, what's the difference?
There was a lot of weird noises in that house. I think they could be attributed to the kids. Like the guy with the brace has a dragging noise.
Oh, no.
And then the little girl may have hit a door or two. And then like there were just a lot of noises going on. I would assume Tomas's mask would get, also he runs a lot at full speed, so the mask probably changes where his eyes can't see it, and he just straight up hits a door or two, you know?
That explains the face, actually.
That does explain his fucked up face. Here's my headcanon. That's the sound of Simone trying to get out of the basement and falling and dying.
Oh, I mean, it is once. We hear a lot of bangs and runs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
is
yeah.
that one time. You're right.
Yeah, because it's right after the party.
It is, yeah.
I've brought on a guest to talk about this.
Oh, God.
Charles Darwin, what is your thoughts on this? Yes, stronger orphans will survive and adapt next generation.
Oh, my God. Mikey brought in Darwin for that.
Via seance, I've brought in little orphan Annie, and so she's here to say, tomorrow. It's terrible.
Oh, my God.
It's my least favorite play.
It's not the strongest orphan, it's the most adaptable one. That's the thing about
Play smarter, not harder. It's the orphan that learns to delegate.
So Charles Darwin definitely bemoaned Simone.
I have to stand up and slow clap. I don't know what else to do. Like, that's it. That was just so good.
Unless we can crossbreed different orphans to get gills, then we shouldn't send them into sea caves, you know? Or the ones with the gills will survive the sea cave.
Another Guillermo del Toro property has that.
Why are we crossbreeding orphans? Mikey, why does your brain go there?
Have you not seen Waterworld, Paige? We've got to have them survive the ocean.
Oh, God. That's fair.
Aren't they just like Pokemon?
What?
No.
What is happening?
No, Mikey. No.
I choose you, Tomas.
I mean, in the really bad orphanages, they do make them live in those tiny balls and then make them fight. But, like, that's not related to Pokemon at all.
Does she just become their trainer at the end? I'm Laura. I'm the new trainer here.
Oh, there, I guess.
Cut this out, but they're basically like the Powerless Rangers.
Oh, man. The way this movie, like, really just hurts those that are most vulnerable. Like, it really goes after just children in this movie pretty aggressively.
Children, specifically orphan children,
Yes.
and then orphan adults, too, because, like, I mean, do you ever stop being an orphan? We all become orphans someday, at some point.
Do you guys think Carlos targeted her because of her lack of father figure?
No.
All I have is orphan jokes this whole episode. I'm so sorry. And that's why he's like, I'm leaving you.
I mean, maybe that was his exit. He was like, I'm going to blame all, maybe Carlos murdered everybody. Maybe it's not Laura. Maybe it's Carlos. And he's like, I can pin this all on Laura.
How dare you bring Daddy Warbucks into this?
Why do you think he wants all them kids?
I don't think he did. I think he loved his wife, who then murdered people to make her dream come true and then got in too deep with them sleeping pills.
Or as we call it, girl bossing to the max.
All right, let's just go through this movie scene by scene.
Yeah, no, we got to get into my brain is mush.
When all of your clients and you die, you have the smallest of small businesses.
Once you die, is it a business anymore? I'm confused.
I will say this, and I know we're supposed to start the plot, guys. Everyone calm down. This is a good point. When her son goes missing, the main thing she's worried about is that people aren't going to trust her with their kids because they were starting this business. She wasn't like overly concerned with this child. She may or may not have broken their neck. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I think Mikey's onto something.
It was kind of like in Tiger King when that one employee gets bit by a tiger and rips their arm off, basically. And Joe Exotic is just like, I'll never financially recover for this.
I love that scene.
How will I afford more earrings that look precariously dangly in my giant ears?
I will say this before we move into the film. It is ironic that Laura, with her lack of support, kills Simon with actual supports.
Not wrong. Where's the lie?
Oh my God. Okay, listen, we have to get into the movie. Oh my God.
I think there's a metaphor there. It's above me, but I think it's there.
All I know is when she was in that, like, where the supports were, that, like, closet or whatever.
The scaffolding closet. We've all got one, like a packet drawer.
And they were showing it from the upper angle. I was like, this looks just like the trash compactor in Star Wars.
Shut them down on the detention level.
I just felt like every time you got introduced to the orphans, it was like Strong Bad, and they would end on Thomas, and it's like, the ugly one.
No, Mikey. No. Wow. That technically is Teen Girl Squad.
Teen Girl Squad.
But I understand what you're saying, even though it was horrible.
What's your face? The ugly one.
Yes.
Ships are no place for a mighty warrior.
I feel like that's like our dateable bubble. Like if you know what Homestar Runner is, it's fine. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I was there, and not many people knew what it was.
I was there. I loved it.
Very big on the band.
Anyway, perhaps we should go through this movie scene by scene.
Yes. So we open on the orphans playing the 1, 2, 3 knock game. I don't understand the rules and I won't respond to it.
I know the rules.
Okay.
Because they're clear.
Yeah.
She knocks 1, 2, 3 and then turns around. And then they have to stop coming close to her, right?
Okay, so it is red light, green light.
It's exactly red light, green light, and then tag at the end.
If you tag all the orphans back after you get tagged, you have to poison them all.
Got it. Okay, great. Thanks. Somebody should write this down so we can actually have like a conference and a, tournament every year. Anyway, so from there we go into the credits, which are kind of long and it's mostly ripped paper with creepy hands.
I would say Uncanny Valley hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't look great, but like, I don't know. It was fine.
We also see the orphanage get a phone call and they say, we haven't told Laura yet. Laura, she's playing, but I think she'll love her new home. Basically, so we know Laura's getting adopted, but she's playing outside with these kids. Credits, come back, cut to present day. Laura is an adult and she wakes up to the sound of her child calling for her.
Yeah.
And it is in the middle of the night. And I do love that Carlos says, it's my turn, I'll get it, and then just falls asleep.
Yeah.
Classic dad.
You guys know what it's like to have kids, right?
I don't.
Me either.
But I do know them kids be waking you up at night.
Oh, no, I'm sure that is true. Yeah.
That's why you put them in the basement and then strategically place your scaffolding to keep the door shut so you can have a good night's rest.
You heard it here.
In 6 to 18 months, you open that door back up, well-behaved child.
You sound a lot like the schools in the documentary The Program that I just watched on Netflix. Bunch of Mormons making millions off imprisoning children.
Not just Mormons. There's a lot of different people making money off of imprisoning children.
Well, specifically the guy who owns that conglomerate.
There's also, if you're curious about the program, there's also a doc on Hulu about wilderness schools. That is cut from the same cloth and is also a really interesting documentary.
They touch on wilderness schools in the program for like a brief moment, but yeah, that doc is great. I've seen that doc too.
There's a dramatic film called Coldwater Creek that's really good about when these kids rise up and murder all the people in their school. One of those kind of schools, yeah.
That would be a good movie to watch.
I was really cheering during the program when they covered the riot, and then they're like, but nobody came to check on things, and I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking.
It's pretty rough. Credits. She wakes up, and this is the same, like, I'm sure y'all did this to your parents. I know I definitely did, where you have either had a nightmare or some sort of, children with their night imaginations, and screamed for your parents to come help you. And particularly, he yells for his mom to come open the window to let his imaginary friends into the house because they are stuck outside. But also, this is our first glimpse into the orphanage. They have already moved in.
Yeah.
There's moving boxes everywhere. So this is first night in a new place. That's how the imaginary friends didn't know to get inside. Their names are Watson and Pepe. Love that. And she does show him this little reflection trick that light can make bad things go away with the clock, which is kind of cute. But Carlos later on will have questions about like, why this kid got so many imaginary friends? And I'm like, I'm sorry that he's popular, okay?
Yeah. He's very big in the imaginary community, guys. Like, deal with it.
Yeah. He's like an imaginary dreamfluencer. So like...
Someone say he's magic. Like, Magic Johnson.
No, Mikey, no.
No, Mikey. Oh, my God. They haven't revealed that yet, Mikey.
They haven't revealed that yet, so you just sound mean.
Although I think they do show him taking a pill. Like, they say, did you take your pill?
He does take medicine, yes.
But his medicine always looks like just silver metal pills. I was like, I don't know about those pills.
Is he a werewolf?
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we know about his condition, and we keep him chained on the full moons.
He looks like he's taking pills to stay inside the Matrix.
He does, yeah. Because they're like, I think they're green. I think they're just like green pills.
It's just something about the lighting of the shot makes them look metallic, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think you have to take more than just one pill a day, don't you? I truly don't know, though.
Your cocktails of medications can change over time depending on your positive status. And at this point now, modern day, there are people who even go into remission. So like,
oh yeah,
they talk about, they're like, maybe he could see them because he was close to death. And I was like, this is 2007. We were already pretty good at it. And we've only gotten better. That kid would probably still be alive.
Yeah.
They already killed him, and like, why did they have to give him HIV? It was just unnecessary.
I don't know, Mikey.
I honestly don't know, Mikey. It's insane because functionally it does not change the story at all. He doesn't die of AIDS because he couldn't get his meds. He doesn't like even starve down there. It's a sad thing, truly, but like he like is trying to open the door and the support beam hits the door and he breaks his neck as he falls down the stairs. So none of that matters.
I want both of your support when I say that being an orphan is sad enough, and what they do to these kids story-wise is too sad, and it comes back around where you have to make fun of it, and it's like they didn't need all of these problems. They already had the problem where their parents died and left them in an orphanage. I think that was sad enough. We went too far down the sad strategy.
It literally is this, like, all of the sad things that can happen to a child happens to these children specifically. Yes, it is rough. I agree.
They were like, he lost 3 of his toes when rats nibbled his toes off in the crib.
They just put that rat cage right up against his foot and lit a fire on the other side.
And that's how his parents lost custody. You're like...
No, but I do understand why they do it, because they want to do it like it's a reverse Peter Pan, right? Like she's Wendy,
right? And
then they're the like children in Neverland, right?
Yes. Who's Tinkerbell?
You could tinker my balls.
No!
What? Guys, no.
Like, they could have just been regular orphans. Why did we go this far?
They could have been regular orphans who all got killed by like a crazy, person, which I think technically they did. Like the lady who actually killed them, like it was like in crazy grief and hated those kids.
Yes.
And really like should not have been on the job that day. Like they shouldn't have been allowing her on campus at all.
She should have been on leave to get, to take care of herself and her emotional needs.
Yeah. Anyway, those kids didn't have to die.
Right.
I think Laura snuck her on.
There you go. So Simone wants to sleep with her because he's kind of scared of being in a new place. In bed with her. Todd.
Yeah.
I see your weird eyes.
No, that's just the way my eyes look.
Like you've never interrupted your parents who were probably trying to have a good night's sleep.
Wow. That's probably why they divorced.
My first memories of my dad and mom are of them fighting. There's no way I would have ever gone close to them when I was that young.
That makes sense.
Yeah. They got divorced when I was 3. Like, I don't remember much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This house is big. It's fucking creepy. I probably sleep in my mom's room too the first night we were there. I hate this place.
I would sleep in any room anyone else was in. I would not sleep alone because that's how you get taken by ghosts.
This is like 13 ghosts, but each one of them has like a Lifetime movie of sadness behind it.
But also like a true crime Lifetime movie, the kinds where they're like, did she leave her baby in the car or was the baby already dead from a Xanax overdose? Those ones.
Well, that sounds real dark.
I like the leg brace one be like, accidentally left the kid next to the lawnmower again, and then the state took custody.
No, but if they like pulled that leg brace kid aside, he would just be like, Mama always said life was like a box of chocolate. And you're like, how did he end up here? Cool leg braces for us.
It's too late to record. This is insane.
This is what happens when Forrest's mom does not sleep with the principal. He goes to the orphanage.
No. Orphanage. That'll make me feel better about it. Make it sound fancy. Anyway, the next day, Carlos is playing the piano and he's like, hey, I'm worried that our kid be talking to a bunch of people that aren't there. That's strange. And she's just like, nah, he's just a kid. He'll grow out of it once he has real friends.
He's like, shut the fuck up, Carlos. You have no idea what it's like to be an orphan.
This is orphan shit. You wouldn't understand.
Get out of here. Oh, yeah, I still got my parents. Yeah, whatever. This orphan shit. You wouldn't get it, Carlos.
Fucking asshole.
Get out and make us money.
Did you get a scholarship to med school? No.
Shouldn't even fucking be here, Carlos. This is an orphanage. We don't like your kind.
You think one doctor can afford a 30-room mansion? No. He's got family money for sure.
With a lighthouse. He owns that lighthouse.
Does he own the lighthouse?
Does he own the lighthouse, or is the lighthouse the portal to like the other side when you die?
Yeah, I think it's more that. I think it's a metaphor.
Which he's a doctor. I think the metaphor holds.
Oh my God, you guys. If the lighthouse is the portal to the other side, that means that this movie exists in the same movie universe as another movie that we've done. Charlie St. Cloud.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
That ambulance that ran over that old lady had too many people in it, and that's why they couldn't stop in time.
It's a double-wide ambulance.
Fun fact, that ambulance hits an old lady later on, and this is that old lady.
There you go.
Welcome to our orphanage. We have the best poisons.
Top shelf.
Would you like some nightshade pie?
Ooh, pie. Anyway. Laura and Simone go out collecting shells on the beach, and Laura's like collecting shells and just kind of walking around, and she just lets Simon kind of go off, and he goes into the creepiest cave ever.
He just like walks in there like non-fucking plussed, like whatever. I would never go in that cave.
Yeah, I don't trust caves.
I would go in that cave.
What would get you to go in? Actually, I think I probably know.
Boobs.
Mikey'll go into any cave.
Yeah.
As long as she's willing. Ladies!
As long as there's no barnacles visibly outside.
Mikey should have said when I asked what would get you to go in that cave, he should have just said consent.
Yeah, but also lube.
I don't need it because I'm so hot that it just...
It melts, the skin melts around you.
Yeah, it's just like Arctic shelf melting. There's just lots of fresh water.
Is this, hang on. Is this supposed to be sexy?
No, this is
Okay.
just the mechanics of it.
I was really enjoying Mikey ramble about how sex works. That was a good time for me.
Is that what that was?
Okay, I thought of a backstory of the kid with the brace.
Okay, tell me everything.
Let's come up with the backstory for all of them.
His parents on meth, but they loved their boa constrictor, Jonathan.
Oh, of course it was named Jonathan.
And then it got into his playpen, wrapped around his leg, and constricted it till there was a shatter break in the leg. The government comes and takes custody. Also, they died of an overdose. And that's how he got in the leg brace and in state's custody.
What happens in your brain, Mikey?
This is going to sound insane, but that character's name in the movie is Martin Snake.
His last name is Snake.
No, his name is just Martin. I added Snake.
Oh.
Snaky Martin. All right, we gotta move
You
on.
would think they'd give these kids last names.
Whose last name, Mikey?
Todd, I like that you picked a name with no S's in it. You were like, I'm about to drop a snake joke. I could go with Steven, but no, I'm going to go with Martin Snake.
Well, yeah, because his name in the movie is actually Martin.
Martin Snake Scorsy.
Oh.
Snorsnakesky?
Snorsnakesky. That's more of a Polish one.
He would go on to make a really great movie, Snakes of New York. And I mean,
Snakes of New York.
Anyway, so the next day, he just goes into that fucking cave like it's nothing. And in the shadow of, because we don't see what's exactly in the cave that he's talking to, but he's like whispering creepy children shit in the cave.
Oh, yeah. This is definitely something that we would put on Facebook and be like, holy shit, is my kid possessed?
Yeah.
Because this was scary. I hated this. And you can't hear the other side of it. And it's just like you walk over and you like grab the kid, or not grab. She's like, hey, Simone, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just talking to my new friend.
And also,
No.
there's an ice pick.
I'd be like, you get the fuck out of the cave and get back to the house.
For sure.
We can't hear at all what you're saying.
She's whispering like the ghost, bro, as you narrated your story. I liked it. Comical. Almost comical as beating up these poor children without adults in a fictional way.
That's only fun for you, Mikey. I would never hit an orphan unless they were confirmed to be a ghost. Anywho, she's like, wait, who are you talking to? And he's like, oh, I made a new friend. She's like, God damn it, another one?
Oh, yeah, because he's like overwhelmed with friends out here in the middle of nowhere in this former orphanage house they've moved to.
I think she assumes it's another imaginary friend, which brings the count to 3.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
But also, as the shadow passes, it does kind of look like a spider for a while.
I saw that. Yeah. But it doesn't
Right?
move. I thought
like,
it was going to move.
But it doesn't move.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. She's collected all these shells and he just starts dropping them on the ground as they walk back. And I'm just like, she spent all day collecting those. But it's him leaving a path for his new imaginary friend to follow them back to the house.
That's some like shenanigan-y shit. Like, do not bring that back to the house.
He was murdered at the house. Well, he lived there. He should know how to get back.
He does know how to get back. Like,
Yeah,
I
right?
don't know, like, I mean, maybe that was required for Tomas to like latch on to Simone, but like,
Yeah.
I think he knows how to get back to the house.
Yeah. I mean, it would be funny to see Tomas come out and be like, God damn it, I have a shellfish allergy. I just whispered that to him. But, instead he just follows it to the house.
Yeah.
Now, we cut back to the house where a social worker shows up and is like, I couldn't get your phone number, but I had to show up and talk to you about your son. And she's just like, what? We didn't have anything scheduled. And like, why? And she's like, well, I got his file. And like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing in the house? Like, what's happening? And she's like, oh, I grew up here. It used to be an orphanage. I'm going to take in special needs children, but only like 5 or 6. And it's essentially going to be a small home to care for children with special needs.
Yeah.
Much like the children I grew up with in the orphanage. My husband is a doctor, and we know all about Simone's illness. Like, we understand, but he doesn't know that he is sick, and he also doesn't know that he was adopted. So I would really appreciate if you would keep it the fuck down, you old bitch.
I know. I mean, we come to find out that she's like not on the up and up, like she gave her a false name or whatever, which, yeah.
She murdered 8 kids.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely was involved. I think she's maybe not the only one involved.
I mean, Laura's hands don't look so clean, you know what I'm saying?
It's hard to rub out the nightshade, Laura.
Well, she had to kill all of them because she was doing her hair for the one date she's had in the last 40 years. Lots of hairspray, but she couldn't see well enough in that old house. So she's like, Tomas, hold these matches so I can see my hair better while I do the hairspray. And unfortunately, she lit Thomas's head on fire.
I feel like Mikey watched a different movie than we did. There's a lot of alternative storylines today.
I feel like he just filled in a lot of like character backstory. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the stuff the writer thought up, but like didn't put into the story. Yeah.
Yeah. His actor's secret is it's actually a chemical burn from a facial peel. Like, yeah. Anyway, so she quickly escorts that lady from the house because she's just like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
And then she locks that file in a little cabinet in the kitchen and locks the door. She checks on Simone, and it seems like he has not noticed anything that's going on. He's just sitting, doing his schoolwork.
Yeah.
We cut to that night where she hears sounds out in the yard. And at first I thought it was like tetherball.
It did sort of sound like tetherball, though.
Right?
Yeah.
But instead, it is someone in the coal shed because this building is old enough to need a coal shed.
That's where the coal carts would go, right?
Just like the Changeling, Mikey. This movie answers the question, what was the coal cart for?
There you go.
To kill the kids.
That was a whole like debate on that episode page.
I remember listening to that episode and I was like, I've literally never heard of a coal cart in my life.
Thank you. They're like, it's a coal cart. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Show me a picture.
I don't doubt that they exist. I'm sure that they do. I was just unfamiliar with the term.
It's just like a cart. You know what a cart is, right?
That you would put coal in. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different kind of carts, and that's what I was having trouble with.
It was a shopping cart that you only put moldy burritos in. You get it.
You know, a burrito cart.
That's actually how little Anna lost her eyesight, was a shopping cart full of burritos. And she put them all in a wall of microwaves at a Walmart, and they did not.
And just stared into the void.
Until she lost her sight.
That is not why, and I actually have fun facts about that girl. But they're actually pretty fun.
How is, okay.
We'll get to them in the end. Anyway, she goes inside the coal shed where the cart presumably would go. And there is an old woman with a shovel.
It's the same lady. It's the quote, social worker.
She creepy.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the social worker. She calls for Carlos, but by the time Carlos gets out there, the old woman is fucking gone and there's no sign of her. They do call the cops immediately and have them like search.
Yeah, as you should.
And no one can find anybody. So like, I do appreciate that about this movie, that everyone does what they're supposed to do, in the sense of like they have very human reactions to things most of the time, especially Carlos. But where it's not one of those things where it's like, well, why wouldn't you call somebody to look for this? Like, why wouldn't you try to leave?
I don't know. Laura should have pinned that lady down or something. She didn't confront that lady, and Laura could have taken her.
The problem is it was just her and that lady, and the lady is old, but like you don't know what she's capable of, and she's there for nefarious reasons. So like,
and she's got a shovel.
Yes.
She has a weapon. Laura doesn't.
And your husband is like upstairs and presumably can help you. Whatever. I think she made the right call.
Do you know how many nights I've prayed to God that I could fight an elderly person with a shovel?
I'm guessing 365 a year. You only take one day off every 4 years on leap day.
Exactly. So recently I took the day off of praying for that.
How did that feel? Did you feel rejuvenated and
Empty.
relaxed and ready to return to work?
Empty.
I would say, and maybe this is just me, because she got up to investigate noises outside that seemed creepy, and I immediately had the thought that it couldn't be me. That's definitely something I would volunteer Jake to do.
I wouldn't go. I'd be like, no, we're going to wait it out until the cops come or, it stops.
If I went outside right now in my shed and the door was open and an elderly person stepped out, I would run so fucking far away, like 2 miles past the front of my house.
I love that you were like, I can't wait to beat an octogenarian to death with a shovel. And then an opportunity presents itself and you're like, Lord, I'm not ready. You give your toughest jobs to your most resilient servants, and yet I find myself wanting.
You guys say that, but what if I like kill an elderly person in my backyard?
I mean, I think because you're in a southern state, you can claim stand your ground and be fine, I guess.
Yeah, or Walker your ground, depending on how old and infirmed they were.
I don't think you could take Walker, Texas Ranger.
No.
Although Mikey did just nod like he could fucking take Walker, Texas Ranger. So you're on notice.
He's like 90 years old. I can beat up Chuck Norris.
Mikey's like, kangaroo, I got this. Chuck Norris, don't even fucking try Chuck Norris. Don't come to my house.
How old is Chuck Norris?
Old enough to do weird MLM commercials.
Oh, good for him.
Well, he's not. I will say that questions like this always remind me of whenever people are like, so if you had to go back in time to kill baby Hitler, you wouldn't do it. And it's like, how would I know it was Hitler? It's just a baby.
The mustache page.
Yeah, it's definitely the mustache. Duh.
That baby hates the Jews. And you're like, what? It's a baby. How did we know? What if I get, or somebody like, if you saw Hitler, would you shoot him today? And I'm like, does he look like Hitler? Am I sure that it's not a Hitler impersonator? Like, what if I just shot a random actor?
Paige, all I'm hearing is you saying you wouldn't shoot Hitler. That's all you've said, is that you wouldn't shoot Hitler. It's a weird stance.
No, I'm saying that I need confirmation. I need like a CIA person to come up and be like, we've been tracking Hitler for 80 years.
Oh, you're going to trust our government on that?
Oh my God, you guys, I accidentally murdered Hitler in my shed in the backyard.
Good job. Here's the Congressional Medal of Honor.
He had an Argentinian passport and some papers that said the American Red Cross on it.
Do you think there's any reason for a person in modern day the world to read Mein Kampf?
For history, yeah.
Like on their own?
What is happening right now? Are you getting dating advice?
You mean for fun? I don't think people read it for fun. Like, we have a copy in our cult podcast library for all the times that we have had to talk about the Third Reich.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
For research purposes.
Yeah, that's why we have, I mean, that's also why we have Charles Manson's autobiography.
But like, someone brought that up out of the blue. That'd be a red flag, right?
Sure, yeah. That would be a super red flag unless I had some context for why they might ever possibly need that.
Like, we were talking about World War II and that person was like, oh, I read Mein Kampf.
I mean, if they followed it up with like, I was a history major and my thesis was on this, then I don't feel so weird.
Still feel weird.
Okay.
I would go with that. If it gave you a weird vibe, then I would back away slowly.
Would you bring it up on a first date?
Oh, God, no.
Mikey, are you asking for yourself? Are you the person who read Mein Kampf? What is happening right now?
No, I've never read it.
Wait, no. Mikey, you've been out on dates recently with people that you claim to have liked. Did one of them read Mein Kampf?
No, I haven't been on any dates with people I've liked. I went on a date Friday night with somebody I liked, but one of these 4 dates said this, that they had read it when we were talking about World War II.
And it's your job, Paige, to find that Nazi.
Let's do it! Give me Instagram handles and approximate boob sizes, and I will have this done instantly.
Mikey.
Yeah.
Contestant number 1.
Let's do it.
What's your question?
Did you ask follow-up questions about why this person read Mein Kampf? And did they follow it up with a joke like, Mein Kampfy couch back at my apartment? You want to go back to my place? Like, did she try to save it?
I don't know if I'm going to close the deal on a Hitler-Nazi-related joke. I'm just going to say that.
Probably wise. Because that person might get to your house and then mangala your genitals because they're quick.
Been there.
They're like, this is actually my house now because it was traditionally a member of Bavaria.
No, Mikey, did you ask follow-up questions?
Questions.
Are you going on a second date with the person who read Mein Kampf?
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, oh, good. Okay, what were the other red flags with a swastika in the middle?
The other red flags were she was talking about how her granddad was great, but he was on the other side in World War II.
She invited him home for s'mores and they burned books over it? No, what else happened?
I pivoted very quickly away from history as a topic because there's other people around. I don't want to be I don't know. I felt very uncomfortable in that moment.
But what if it was because she was like a history major? Like, there are legitimate reasons.
She was not a history major. I did ask that.
Oh, okay.
But she's very interested in history, so she read a lot of books about World War II. But there's a thin line between I read a lot of books between World War II and the Fourth Reich, you know?
And it being the first book you bring up about World War II that you read.
I read Band of Brothers.
Same. There's a great long book on Stalingrad that's great.
Guess which one of those you can talk about in a bar?
Mein Kampf. No.
A classy cocktail bar.
Does she have a history podcast?
No.
Then, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, stop dating Nazis.
He did.
Thankfully. I mean, this is the second time, because wasn't there that other girl who was super racist that you were like, oh no, how do I end this date immediately?
I think she was more traditionally Southern racist, not full-blown Nazi-ish.
So what you're saying is a true American?
I'm just saying, if you like blonde, she got some landmines that are left over from World War II that you have to, navigate.
You do. And listen, it sounds like you're navigating them great. Good luck on your second date.
And I have blue eyes, so it's like...
You think they're targeting you, Mikey? What are you insinuating?
Do you think that she's trying to have a baby with you to restart the Lebensborn and make Super Abba?
That's always been one of my fears.
There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright. Fernando. Is that your code name, Fernando?
That's what she calls them.
Ooh.
Ladies.
And by him, we mean downstairs Girth Brooks.
Oh, God. I forgot that happened until it all clicked just a second ago.
Oh, wait, you forgot that you went on a date with a Nazi, or you forgot that members of ABBA were the Lebensborn?
Both, actually.
That's fair. That's fair. That's one of those facts people forget. And by the way, it's not the members of ABBA that you think. It's not the blonde one.
This is Mikey from Horror Virgin. I practiced this ad for Factor in my car today.
Can you show us what you practiced?
Yeah. Mikey from Horror Virgin here to talk about Factor.
Nailed it.
I have used Factor on and off the last couple of years, especially since 2020. My work is very busy. I have a very busy day job.
He does.
I have a very busy hobby / second job called podcasting.
Yeah, it's so much work for you.
Eating healthy is hard. I'm single. Cooking single is hard. And I've loved Factor. Other people, they ship you ingredients. You have to cook them. It takes a long time. Factor, they ship you fresh, never frozen meals.
And it always only takes 2 minutes, which is like my favorite thing. I never have to think about how long it has to go in the microwave. It's 2 minutes.
That's what my dating profile says. Always 2 minutes. It's helped me eat healthier, though. They have a bunch of like dietary options, like low calorie or protein or keto. Is it keto? Keto? Keto.
Mikey, you said it wrong so many times, I'm not sure if I remember how to say it right. It's keto, right?
Keto. No, it's keto. It's keto. But anyway, Factor's amazing. So
just head to factormeals.com/horrorvirgin50 and use code horrorvirgin50 to get how much percentage off, Mikey? Were you paying attention?
50.
Damn, 50% off. Literally half off. That's code horrorvirgin50 at factormeals.com/horrorvirgin50 to get 50% off.
CarMax is putting peace of mind back in car shopping by putting you in the driver's seat to find a ride that's right for you. Because at CarMax, we believe you shouldn't just settle for a car. You should love your car. That's why every car we sell is CarMax certified quality, so you can be sure with upfront pricing that's the same for every customer. So don't settle. Find love at first drive and start shopping now at CarMax.com. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
Anyway, so Simone wakes up in their bed the next day. They get up, and outside their doorsteps, there's tons of shells. She sees doors shutting on their own. The playground equipment moves.
I mean, it's fully unhaunted. Like, it's immediately haunted by more than one child.
Yeah. Multiple children.
But it's only like 7, so it's like 2.5 adult ghosts.
Yeah, which, I mean, like, hey, if you had the Warrens, you'd have at least enough to take on those 2.5 ghosts.
Yeah.
Or equivalent 2.5 ghosts.
I didn't understand why 3 of these kids got into one trench coat to act like one adult ghost.
Hello, I'm coming door to door to tell you the good news about the afterlife.
Boo.
Boo. Anyway, Simone is reading Peter Pan and she is working on some needlepoint. And this begins a really interesting conversation that she has with Simone around Peter Pan and the concept of death, which not enough people talk about because the implications of Peter Pan, when you think about it through the lens of death, a little terrifying.
I think that's what this movie's sort of playing on.
Yeah. Well, and he kind of foreshadows here in that he's like, I'll never grow up, just like all of the other kids here. And you're just like, I won't grow up. I won't grow up. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. That was some Peter Pan for you guys.
I hated when he said that. I was like, oh, this kid is definitely already haunted. And this is like Jump Street. We're still in like Jump Street territory. We're like 7 minutes into the movie.
I mean, would it have made you feel better if he had been like, I won't grow up just like all these other kids because of the polar ice caps and the mishandling of our environment, and just like launched into a tirade? That'd be fun.
Because of the trauma, because you never really grow out of the trauma, you know?
Yeah. So she's like, what? And later that night looks at some of the drawings that he's made of the children that he sees around the house. And one of them is definitely Scarecrow from Batman. Oh, no.
Well, yeah, that's Tomas in his mask. But yeah, it is sort of Scarecrowish because it's like a like potato sack, honestly.
And you know what? We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, but you have to because you're like hideously burned in the face.
Dude, you busted.
Which is nothing to joke about, but asterisk, this is a podcast that we have to make jokes.
Okay, I have a question, a very serious question for all three of us, and I need the most serious answers you can provide us.
Okay.
If your face was so busted, you felt like you had to wear a mask at all times, what kind of mask would you wear?
Family opera. I mean, you gotta go classic, right?
I mean, if you're trying to still be Mr. Romance, yeah.
I would be.
I think that's a good choice.
And then I'd kidnap people into my castle and be like, the witch made me stay here. My plates are talking. And they're like, no, I think you're on drugs. And I'm like, you should take some.
You need a cape.
Oh, 100%.
You also combined Phantom of the Opera and Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to wear a big furry suit. I mean, fuck.
That's what I would wear. I would wear the Beast outfit, and then I would, just hang out below this like theater in Paris and like kidnap people down there.
And just be like, let me sing my version of HMS Pinafore for you. Sit here, and next week is Pirates of Penzance.
Oh, you should be so lucky to see me perform Penzance. Come on.
I think I'm going to go with the one. Did you guys watch Boardwalk Empire?
Yes.
Where that guy had the metal face that looks like his face?
Yeah.
I want one of them.
That's a good call. I like that one.
I would just cut off someone else's face and wear it on my face.
Nice. Hannibal Lecter style.
It's 11:45 p.m.
I'm so tired.
Yeah. I have to be on a flight in 6 hours.
Not me, man. I'm ready to do this all night.
We're moving through. We're making our way through. So she's like, wow, these are troubling drawings. Anyway, the next morning he wakes her up and he's like, hey, the ghost told me about a game. It's a treasure hunt. We got to go play the treasure hunt. And she's like, all right. And I do like the way this is kind of set up where each item that you find is a hint to where the next item is.
I thought this was cool as shit. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, follow the clues to get a wish. So first are his baby teeth. Mikey, did this trigger you?
I did not like the first clue.
Because she like rattles them out of that box.
That's
like,
when I would have stopped. Those are my milk teeth.
Yeah. And he's like, where did you used to keep my baby teeth? And I was like, is this a communal teeth hole that the whole family knows about?
First off, if your parents kept your baby teeth, like I knew where mine were in the house, so I could have found them.
But didn't you and your mom look at them, decide they smell, and then throw them away?
100% we did. I was like, this is creepy as fuck. But also, like, you don't want someone to steal those teeth and clone you.
Or plant DNA on crime scenes, Mikey.
The killer's leaving one of his baby teeth at every crime scene.
It's the milk teeth killer.
We can find him. We just got to look for the person that's mouth is really sore and has to chew on a little icy chew toy. Look for somebody wiping bourbon on their gums. Anyway, so it's teeth, and then it's like, where did you keep the teeth? Great. Now there's sand there. Well, where do you find the sand? Well, not the beach. It's in the house. So at the house, we find this little sewing box thing. Then we find this cross that takes us to the chapel. Then there's a Russian doll. The Russian doll has the key. The key is to the thing in the kitchen where she kept his file. He finds his file and the coins, and he doesn't open the file. He's just like, yay, coins. And she's like, hey, no, wait, what? And he's like, oh, by the way, I know I'm not adopted, and I know I'm gonna die. just super metal.
It was pretty metal.
It was pretty fucking metal. Yeah, I was like, damn, he led her for like an hour on the scavenger hunt, already like prepared to like drop these 2 bombs on her. That's like premeditated.
It's wild. It is dramatic.
Yeah.
Simone has a flair for the theater for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But they have to sit him down and be like, hey, look, you're not dying like right this second, but like we wanted to talk about this when you were older. It's kind of hard to grapple with. And he's like, I guess next you're going to tell me Santa's dead. And they're like, oh, about that.
Yeah. I did think that was funny though.
Anyway. So he's like, so what if it happens if I don't take my medication? And they're like, I mean, eventually you might start to get sick, but it would take a long time. Like
days, even weeks, even. I was like, that's still scary. I think weeks is a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Also, you're a doctor. Be more precise, bro. Like,
yeah. Well, then Carlos goes on to say, if you are ever in a situation where you can't take your meds, just break your own neck.
No, Mikey, stop it. It's too late, and I'm going to laugh at every one of these jokes.
No, he's a doctor of art history. He's not like a medical doctor.
Of course he's a PhD. Of course. Mikey is like laugh crying.
I can hear. Let me show you a painting of some pills.
I have a controversial statement here.
Oh, no.
Hot take. You're not a real doctor unless you can do something when someone says, are you a doctor on a plane?
I mean, but you said do something and you didn't specify what kind of something. So if somebody's like, are you a doctor? And Dr. Dre was like, yes. And then just started rapping, you'd be like, well, you did something on this plane. Have a seat, doctor. Helpful. Our morale has improved.
They should have named them 2 different things. We can't do it now because we're too far into society, but like they should have done a 2 different naming type of like medical should have had its own name besides doctor, and the doctor should have been the other ones.
It does. MD.
Medical doctor.
Medical doctor.
Well, but it's the same doctor. They should have been something cool like, what's that guy? Hippocrates. That's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work, Mikey.
It's not going to work.
For very obvious reasons.
We can workshop it later.
As I thought about the fact that MD is medical doctor, I thought that if you're a gynecologist or a urologist, that maybe you should be a GD genital doctor. But
Hell yeah.
You know what? We can't give everyone their own abbreviations. Anyway, Simone is being real creepy and whispering like, it's a lie. They lied to me. They lied so much about all the things they lied. We cut to the next day. All these kids are pulling up for a party outside that for me was very reminiscent of The Omen.
I can see that.
I don't know if you guys remember the party in that one.
Yeah, and the house even looks sort of, I mean, it's a different shape, but like,
yeah,
they have that like window where like that scene could have happened from. Yeah.
And we're burning a lot of, not burning. Sorry, Tomas. We're making fun of this movie a lot.
No, Mikey.
He's been burned enough, you guys. I'm just saying, we were criticizing a lot, but I think this movie captures a very like classical horror movie vibe. And like I loved watching the film, and I thought it was done really well because of that.
Yeah. Oh no criticism here. Like we're going through and laughing because
I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that before I go back to.
It's the middle of the night, and we're all exhausted, and we have to make a podcast today.
Yes.
Anyway, the appetizers at this party looked shitty. I said it. What? Come at me, hoes. It was just crackers with stuff on it.
What do you expect for homemade masks? Okay. Paper mache. I'm not going to send my kid to some cheap ass orphanage where there's paper mache mask and like shitty appetizers.
You're not going to send your kid? Give up your child for adoption? Like, what are you saying?
Well, why did she say, I hope the other families want their kids to stay here?
Because I don't know that it's a home for orphans as much as it's just a home for kids with special needs.
That's what it is.
Yes. That's what happens to Carlos after. He shaves his head and takes her wheelchair from later in this movie and is just like, come, look at the jet that we put underground.
I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a doctor.
Yeah, art history.
I'm a doctor of philosophy,
yes,
which uniquely qualifies me to inject adamantium into people. I guess he didn't do that. Stryker did that. Anyway, we can't get into it.
Well, he did have that kid take metal pills. We don't know what was in the metal.
Simone was Wolverine.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, that's true, because then he would have recovered.
Oh, God. Oh, my. Oh, my God. Okay. All right.
Oh, God. All right. Well, yeah, shitty appetizers.
You know who really hated the appetizers?
Tomas.
Because then he tried to kill the host.
He did. Like, he waited till she was in the bathroom and then chased her down.
Yeah, there were no gluten-free options. Just like,
Wait until she's in the bathroom and chasing her down is my go-to party move.
That's...
oh, the fruit plate was all cantaloupe. And just like,
I'm like, not twice if you want your world shaken.
anyway, shitty appetizers. But downstairs, Simone is kind of fighting with his mom. He doesn't want to go to the party. He's in a bad mood. And she full-on slaps him across the face.
Yeah. I mean, and you can see on her face, because the actress is great, but like, you could see like she immediately fucking regrets it. She's like, fuck.
Oh, yeah, horrified.
And
Yeah.
physical abuse is kind of a precursor to your murder.
I mean,
That's true.
and he does end up, let's just say, dead by her hand later in this movie.
Yeah, not her backhand like this scene.
Right. I do think it was an accident. I'm sure we will continue to joke that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I really do think it was truly an accident.
I just want everyone to know that she slapped her child who's diagnosed with HIV.
It's not a good look. I agree, Mikey. You're right.
Anyway, so he's not going to come out. She goes back out to the party, and this is where we first see Tomas in the weird mask.
Yeah, because he's just standing there amongst the other party guests and, like, obviously stands out because of the mask, but, like, looks like more or less everybody else because, like, all the kids are wearing masks.
Yeah.
Not like the one he's wearing, but they all have masks.
Nobody cared who I was until I put on the mask.
Say it, Tomas.
Anyway, we cut back to her kind of realizing that Simone is not at the party, and so she runs through the entire rest of the party and the rest of the house looking for him and cannot find him anywhere.
Oh, I mean, she, like, searches, like, she goes all the way to the beach, she goes to the cave, like, she goes all out there.
But wasn't Simone Thomas? He was wearing this, right?
No. So Simone runs down into that bottom room. In this scene where she's running around looking for everything, she knocks over the scaffolding, blocking that secret door to that room. So Simone is down there the whole time. So while she is being haunted by Tomas and the mask, Simone is gone, like long gone. And Tomas like tackles her into the shower, which could have like broken her neck. It's really kind of fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
And smashed her fingers. But she ends up running all the way out to the cave because she's like, well, that's where we went yesterday. That's where his other friend was.
Yeah.
But they don't find him. And her leg is all fucking fucked up.
I mean, she has a cast. I think she broke it.
I think she broke it falling into the tub.
Yeah.
Like, it's not clear when, but that's how I think it happened.
But she's like running through like ocean water with like a bloody ankle. Like it would be so painful.
Yeah.
And the sharks.
You know, those ankle deep water sharks. You got to watch out for them.
You juke, Todd.
Oh,
Yep.
I apologize.
Here's the part that they don't tell you about this movie is that they had vacationed the summer before in Amity, and an angry shark has followed them all the way to wherever this is.
Why do you think she's an orphan?
Ooh.
The shark ate her parents.
And now it's come to finish the job.
Her parents were Michael Caine and the old lady. Anyway, we cut to they're in the hospital. She's getting her leg casted up and everything. Carlos is there. They haven't found him. And the police send a psychologist to talk to her. I think because they're like, hey, it seems like this woman maybe lost it in the middle of this party around all these kids. Can you figure out what's going on?
Well, and also the child is missing, right? So
It is
like
missing,
they're
yes.
trying to get as much information out of Laura as possible.
Right. And this is her scene of like, I will never financially recover from this, because this is where she's like, how can they trust me with their kids after this? And it's like, well,
I mean, she's right. She did technically murder a kid today.
which one? Well, yeah, she did. She didn't know it. She doesn't know it yet. Does not know it yet, but she did. Anyway, Carlos gives her his medallion, which will come back later. And we cut to later that night where she is at home. She's trying to sleep. She thinks she's talking to Carlos, but then it is not Carlos.
Right.
Carlos comes back in and she's like, there was somebody next to me. I thought it was you.
And he sort of like really dismisses it here because she's like, no, come feel it's still warm. And he was like, I was just there. Like, of course it's still going to be warm. But like we saw something get in the bed with her.
Come feel it. It's still wet.
Yeah. Oh, and this is also where she like rolls out into the hallway and there's like sounds and crashes. And
Yes.
I think this is Simone trying to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when he actually dies.
Yes.
Wish you would have used his voice a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, 6 months later, he's still missing. There's a news report. They've got like a map. They've tried everything looking for him. There's no clues. They end up at a group therapy session.
Yeah, like a grief session.
Yes.
For like people who have lost a child.
And they're like, okay, who else has seen their dead child? And everyone's like, me. We're all haunted.
Yeah, it was like half of them.
Well, statistically, half of them probably murdered their kids.
Is it that high a statistic for just people who have lost a child? I feel like there's way more accidents than that.
Or illness.
Probably.
I don't think probably is.
These are jokes.
Yeah.
What's your name, sir? John Benet's father.
Gordon Ramsay. That one was for you, Armando. And anyone else who has had to listen to our cult podcast rants about that joke.
That perfect joke, you mean?
It's one of my favorites. Anywho, they go driving after this grief. And she ends the grief thing with like, no, I know he's alive. I know he's alive. And these people have seen something else. Nobody's listening to me, basically.
Yeah.
They go driving in the snow, and in the crosswalk, she sees Benina, who she thinks it's the old woman that she saw on her property. It does turn out to be her, which is a wild coincidence. But so she gets into the car, yells for her. Benina looks at her, and she's pushing like a pram, and a bus completely plows into her in a brutal way.
It destroys her.
And thankfully, that pram was full of just a weird doll with a mask.
Yeah. It was her son as a doll, more or less. That was her totem for her son, I think.
Yeah.
And then she went to go meet her son.
Right. She ends up very dead.
Yeah. When they show her face in this scene, Carlos tries to give her mouth to mouth. They try and save her, right? But like they cover her face.
Well, yeah, because to do mouth to mouth, they need 2 to 3 mouths to fill that hole right there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was gross, man. Yeah. Because she goes to grab that whistle that she kept hearing, right? That this lady was wearing.
Right.
And that's when it's like you see what had happened to her face and that scare, man. That fucked me up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, her truck whistle was not operating correctly and she didn't grab it in time.
Well, instead of yelling her name, she should have gotten out of the car and been like, hoo, hoo, and seen if the ambulance would have done it back.
But you know what? That guy's Amazon package got there on time that day.
Well, it's an ambulance. It's an ambulance.
Oh, it's an ambulance?
Yeah, so the package was a body. Dun-dun.
She's lucky she was hit by an ambulance. We'll just take her with us. Oh, she's already dead.
Put her on the extra gurney in the back
put her
next to her brother.
Little brother.
If you guys have heard the Charlie St. Cloud episode of Romance of the Pod, you understand what we're talking about. And if you haven't, you should, because it's insane.
I love you, Zac Efron. And you're
Oh, God. Anyway, so we cut to the police station where the police psychologist is like, hey, so that lady who died seems to have a connection to you in some way, and you are suspect numero uno. Here is a picture of all of the kids that you were in the orphanage with. Do you know who all these people are? And she starts naming them off, and they're like, oh, yeah, also that lady you just distracted into being killed by an ambulance. She was here, too. And they give her videos of, or I guess she finds the videos in the house, but they tell her about Tomas. And they're like, yeah, she had a kid who had some facial scarring and he was wearing the mask, and the other kid stole his mask. So he went into the cave because he was embarrassed to be seen without the mask, and he wouldn't come out. And the tide came in and he drowned in the cave. And then all the kids were like, ha, ha, ha. And they all got away with it because they're children, even though they were evil, because they were just playing. And Benina was like, I'm still going to come to work with the murderers of my child. And then she poisoned all of them.
Yeah, that's essentially what happens in this movie.
But it was like right after Laura got like adopted out. So she missed it.
Yeah, she wasn't there for it, apparently.
Don't you hate when you miss the juicy gossip at school?
I know.
Oh, man, Mikey, you missed it. Last week, we murdered a kid.
Welcome to America, bro.
No.
Anyway. This next scene is actually the one with the doppelganger. Somebody gets into bed next to her, and then it turns out to not be Carlos.
Okay.
And we cut to the very next day. She's at like a seminar about the evils of doppelgangers. And I feel like this is something we don't talk about enough. Twins, evil, discuss?
Well, doppelgangers are, yes, but doppelgangers are not twins, or are they?
Twins are weird. I think at a baseline, twins are weird. If you're a twin out there, you're at least weird. And that's like, that's the lowest bar I'm willing to put you on. But most of you are more than a little weird. And some of you are evil. Especially if they still live in the same town. Most twins separate as they get older because they notice that they're evil, you know?
I feel like if you are a twin, and unless you want to run hilarious cons on people, one of you needs to get a face tattoo.
Or just wear a paper bag sack like Tomas.
That works too. I mean, tattoos are expensive.
Paper bags aren't.
That's a biodegradable solution.
And you just tell somebody, I look like him, but I wear a paper bag.
I went to college with two twins that looked very, very much alike.
What's their deal? What's she doing?
I don't know where they are, but they had old lady names. And I was friends with one of them and I didn't know the other twin. And I actually did not know she was a twin. She didn't lead with that. And so one time I ran up to the other twin and I was just like, hey girl, how's it been? And she's like, I don't know you, and walked away. And I was like, she's kind of a bitch, right? Anyway, so we cut to 9 months missing. She's at this doppelganger seminar because they are the herald of death, according to the subtitles. And she talks to the guy leading the seminar. And he's like, wow, this is a wild story, lady who probably killed her kid.
I mean, it's revealed that she did. Accidentally, but she did.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
But she also says that she has an item because she pulled out part of the mask when Tomas pushed her into the tub.
Yeah.
And so the guy leading the seminar is like, perfect. A perfect mark for my grift. I know someone who can help. And so he sets her up with a medium named Aurora, who's going to have a seance.
It was weird, though, because he was like, this looks like hair from a little orphan Andy doll.
Oh.
I like the way he phrased it, because he was like, would you allow a medium to visit your home? And I would have responded with, better make it a large, baby.
Yeah.
Garlic breadsticks better be coming with it. Take the full combo.
Anyway, the air quote seance that they do is more of like a spirit box kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
Where there's like EVPs and recording and lights and blindfolding and a whole bunch of stuff. Basically like a mix of scrying and spirit box if you're into the weird side of TikTok, and it goes awry. But they do get a recording, or at least through one of the recording devices, of children screaming that they're being hurt and they're there and they're stuck. And what have they done to you?
Yeah.
And the medium admittedly is just like, yo, shit's fucked up here. So do what you want to do with that information, but there's a whole bunch of dead kids. So you should probably figure that out.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Yeah. It was like a conversation that after which you never return to that place.
Right.
And she like can't wait to get there.
Well, she's like, I will never give up. I won't give up. I'm not going to give up.
No, I won't back down. No Bruce Springsteen.
Hey, Laura, there ain't no easy way out.
You
Yeah,
killed your kid.
Laura, you gotta kill them kids.
Simone can't back down out of the basement.
Oh, because he oh, no. Anyway, we cut to the next day because everyone leaves and she's just like, to the psychiatrist, she's like, fuck you, I'm not going to give up. I know these kids are here. So she walks around and she's like, I'm not afraid. Where are you? And a window shatters over a bench. She opens that bench, revealing the dolls of the children and photos of her and Simon, prompting her to play essentially the treasure hunt game again of like, okay, well, where would I find these photos? That makes me find the next thing. It makes me find the next thing.
Yeah.
So she finds like old toys, the little castle part from the quilt, until she finally finds the doorknob, which ultimately we will find out is the doorknob to the secret door.
Yeah.
In that closet.
In the trash compactor closet.
In the trash compactor closet. But she ends up going out to the coal shed where she finds Benina's necklace and sees that she had been trying to get into this old furnace with that shovel when she was there. So she opens it and goes in, and that's where she finds the bodies of the children.
So many, like, bodies and like ash, and like she wipes her face at the end of like the scene, and like she's just got like children ash on her face. It's like
child dust.
Oh
yeah. And at this point they do call the police to come collect all the bodies and stuff, which in America I feel like they would have been like, you don't get to stay here anymore. Like you this is now an active crime scene. You've got to leave.
Yes. And I don't think they would suspect her because she called them, and also like they just bought that place, and that happened a long time ago.
I think they'd still suspect something.
Yeah, maybe, but like they did just move in. I don't know. I mean, about other deaths, yes.
She did also just go there when they were murdered.
Right.
Close to the time frame.
Very close.
That's a weird, wild coincidence.
Right?
Yeah. Where were you on the night of these murders, Stanley Ipkiss? kiss. It wasn't me. It was the mask.
Miss Laura, is it? I have one question. Why does it look like you bathe in the ashes of dead orphans?
Because I'm covered in the ashes of dead orphans.
Yeah.
And you don't see that as a problem?
Uh-huh.
I mean, everyone has bad days.
Oh, God. This is a bad day.
Ma'am, you're lucky these are orphans, or this would have been a serious crime.
Oh, no.
Anyway, instead of leaving, because at this point, Carlos is like, I'm out. Yeah, no, there's like a whole bunch of dead kids here, and I think it's time for us to go. And she's like, no, I just need 2 days to solve this mystery. And I think in his mind, he's like, well, she's lost it. It's time to go.
I think
time
so, too.
to go.
Carlos fights as hard as I fight when I go to Kroger and there's too many people at the self-checkout. He's like, I'm just going to put the Tylenol and the water drops back, and I'm just going to go to a different store or come back tomorrow.
Pretty much.
He conservatively just puts his marriage away when she's like, I will prove that dead kids exist and are haunting this place. He's like, that's great, honey. I'm a doctor, like a real one. So I'm going to head out.
I have art to appraise in the morning.
I'm sorry that I've made so many orphan jokes this episode. I think Kids Without Parents is really sad.
It is really sad, which is like enough. So they didn't also have to give the kid HIV.
Yeah.
Like, it's too much, guys.
Not just him, every kid.
Every kid has a 13 ghost level thing about them.
But it's because that's where they get their mutant powers from. And that's why they need the jet.
And those green metallic pills.
Yeah. Anyway, we should have had John Reisinger on this episode. And been like, hey man, let's get into some X-Men pre-lore. Anyway, Carlos leaves because he's a rational, healthy adult. And Laura, decides to make the entire house the way that it was when she lived there as an orphanage.
Yes.
This is a very long montage.
Of pretty much her setting up IKEA furniture. Like, that is what's happening. She's like setting the house back up the way it was when she lived there. That's it.
That's it. I would have loved some creative, fun scoring. Like, if she was just doing it to that, like, Zooby, zooby, zoo song, and she's just like setting things out. Zooby, zooby, zoo.
It's like the muzak you hear in like an elevator system. Yeah.
Yes. Or if she had finished and then is like, move that bus. And it's just the same orphanage it was before.
Unfortunately, that bus then killed a second old lady.
Ty Pennington.
He was actually driving the ambulance too.
She does put on the murderer's clothes.
She did. Yeah, she does put on the murderer's uniform.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she's looking for them. She's calling for them. Night falls and she is like, oh, wait. I know how to contact them, and starts playing the game. 1, 2, 3, knock on the wall, and then turns the lights out, turn the lights back on. And it is very creepy because you just see the orphans start to appear closer and closer and closer to her.
It's so scary. I hated it.
I do love it as a device, though.
Oh, I think it's very well earned.
Very well earned, very cool.
Yeah, but it's so scary.
Very scary.
I mean that as a compliment, really.
Yes.
This is very scary.
Yeah.
And at this point, she's like, I won't hurt you. I just want to find Simon. They kind of lead her into the basement where she finds the place for the knob, down the secret door, down to the bottom. She sees all the drawings and the treasures. Also this is where she's also finding out about like the berries and what happened and that they were poisoned and everything.
Yeah.
And she finds Simon. And at first it looks like Simon is alive. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're so cold, but I'm glad you're here because we will find out this is just Simon's ghost.
Yeah, I also, I sort of laughed when they reveal it was the ghost because she's like holding him, right?
Right.
And is like walking around. She clearly is holding him in the scene. And then it cuts to like a close up and then it cuts back. And she does like this magician wave of the blanket he was wrapped in and now it's empty. It was very like Chris Angel. It made me laugh a little bit.
Mind freak! Yes. And then Simone's body is on the ground wearing Tomas's mask that I assume he found in the basement.
I assume so too, yeah.
But it's pretty clear that she had blocked the door. He tried to get out. He fell. He broke his neck.
Yeah.
So she kind of carries him upstairs into the orphan bedroom, and all of the other spirits appear, including him, as she takes copious amounts of sleeping pills.
Yeah, so she this is where she takes her own life because that's where the story goes.
Okay, so here's where I lose it with the movie, right? I like the movie up until this point.
Okay.
But the movie kind of posits suicide as
the good ending for Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she gets to care for the orphans, which is a little odd. Yeah.
So also a bad ending for Laura. I mean, like, what an afterlife. Here are 9 orphans you have to love on and care for the rest of eternity.
I mean, that's what she wanted to do in her actual life, but yeah, still.
I think she also actually wanted to have a full life as well that involves other things that aren't her job.
Sure.
Thank God I've gone to accounting heaven where I can just do Excel spreadsheets Monday 24/7 forever.
Yeah, if I have to work in marketing in heaven, I'll be pissed.
But it glorifies suicide. I think there's a way to interpret it that it glorifies suicide. I think that's a very
It's not great.
precarious way to identify
Yeah.
it. I don't think that's good.
But as she's taking these sleeping pills, right? I think it sets up that she looks up and sees someone, and I really wanted it to be her. I wanted her to see herself. Because of the doppelganger stuff, right? And that, they wouldn't have to actually have that attack or anything, but that doppelganger ushers her into the afterlife. But the way they do it in the movie is the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Is the way they do the ushering her into the afterlife.
Yes. And we cut to later where Carlos visits a memorial to her and Simone and all of the orphans.
Yeah.
And he returns to the old bedroom and finds the medallion that he had given to Laura. And as he turns to look, the door opens, implying that Laura's spirit is there.
Yeah.
And he smiles.
And that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what do you guys think about The Orphanage?
I think it's really very good. I think it's shot beautifully. It's gorgeous, especially for 2007. But yeah, overall, I really liked it.
I loved it. I thought it was the closest to The Changeling since The Changeling. I love a good ghost story like this, right?
I think so too, Mikey. I would agree.
My only criticism is the way it depicts suicide.
I think that's a fair criticism too.
I wanted it to be more scary, but I thought it was at the right level of tension building and scares. But yeah, besides the suicide stuff, and I think I really, really liked it. I would watch it again.
Yeah. I'd watch it again too, honestly, because it's not like there are a lot of jump scares that continuously get me every watch. It is just a lot of tension, right? And I think it does it really well, and it is sort of scary because of that, but it's not super, super scary, right? And it is really well done. It's beautiful. It's a pretty quick movie. You're pretty much in it from Jump Street, which is great. There's no lollygagging around, which I appreciate. But yeah, I get why people love this movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway, but Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Yes.
Well, hit us with your fun facts.
Orphan fun facts. Now, the writer of this film, Sergio G. Sanchez, talked to the little girl who played the blind orphan.
Okay.
And told her that she had very pretty eyes. And she says, "Oh, do you like them? I picked them out myself." And what he did not know is that she had been diagnosed at a very, very young age with a degenerative eye disease that was going to cause her to eventually be blind. And one of the last things her parents did while she could still see was let her select a huge selection of glass eyes so she could choose the ones that she wanted in different colors and everything like that.
That's so sweet.
So she had chosen them. Now, this did premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, where it received a 10-minute standing ovation, which I understand is a very good movie.
I don't understand anyone clapping for that long for anything ever. A 10-minute standing ovation? What? We just watched a whole movie. I have to pee.
That's fair.
I only get those after I sleep with you.
I would say at Cannes, it's like a tradition where they try to do really, really long standing ovations when they like movies so that people report on them.
No, of course it's that. It's just performatively silly, though. To me, that is exactly like when someone touches someone who's playing soccer and that person falls down like they got shot. It's the same level of performatively weird.
That's fair. I also always have to pee after movies.
Same.
Anyway, so this had one of the largest box office openings for a film in its native country of Spain, and it outgrossed Pan's Labyrinth, which is one of the most successful movies to come out of, or to have an opening in Spain, which had come out the year before. Now, he's not credited for the role, but Guillermo del Toro plays the doctor in the emergency ward who tends to Laura after she injures her leg, which is something that Guillermo del Toro does a lot. He's uncredited in a lot of things. He's also the Santa Claus in Hot Fuzz that stabs Simon Pegg's hand. And he has a whole arc on Always Sunny as Pappy McPoyle. So
Love that.
yeah, love his acting work, really.
Yeah, he's great.
Now, the director, J.A. Bayona, would improvise things while shooting scenes to surprise the actor. So, like, one time he ran through the background to, like, suddenly startle them, or one time he hid under one of the beds and grabbed one of their legs.
Oh, God. Jesus.
So they would get screams that were real. They auditioned over 400 children for the role of Simone. And honestly, the kid that they got in this, he's so cute. And he's really, really good.
He's adorable and he's great. Yeah, he does great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they locked 48 of them in a basement.
Whoever makes it out wins. Due to the cramped conditions for lighting in the initial cave location, they actually shot 3 different caves. So there's an external cave and then 2 internal caves where Simone disappears. The orphanage set itself was an old colonial house in the town of, I believe it is pronounced Llanes because it's Llanes. And a lot of the plans that they had for this movie were impossible to achieve on location. So they actually had to build replicas of several parts of the house on a soundstage.
Okay.
But like replicas of how the house looked. So
Really?
about 80% of the film ended up being shot on a soundstage with replicas of an actual house that existed.
Interesting.
And obviously that allowed them to like change the sets for when she redresses the whole house and things like that. But it gave them a lot more freedom in the directionality of how they could shoot.
That's cool because they do a really good job of making you feel like they shot it in the like house we're seeing the outside exterior shots of. That's great.
Right.
Yeah, that's good work, man.
Yeah. Now, Sergio G. Sanchez wrote this screenplay in 1996, and it did not end up in J.A. Bayona's lap until 2004.
Wow.
He then approached his friend Guillermo del Toro to help him produce and finance the film so that they could double the budget and the shooting schedule, and that's how it got made.
Very cool.
Wow. When I tell you the budget for this, man, okay.
Yeah. Now, originally, Sanchez wanted to direct his own screenplay, but no one would fund him because he was an uncredited director, essentially. He had never directed anything before, and they thought it was too big of a project to let him direct it. But honestly, I think it did turn out great.
It did.
Other movies this ends up outperforming that year is Shrek the Thirds and Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End in Spain.
Yeah.
Domestically, very different stories. Now, specifically, they wanted the film to look like 1970s Spanish cinema, which is why they cast Geraldine Chaplin, who had actually been in 2 successful films from the 1970s, Anna and the Wolves and Cría Cuervos from 1976. Now, often we go over this more in horror movies than in romance movies, but sometimes directors will assign films for their performers to watch prior to the movie.
Peele does that a lot.
And his lists are always fascinating.
Yeah.
If you can find a Jordan Peele list of what he made people watch before you see the movie, and you can watch it and then watch the movie, best case scenario. But for this movie, they had to watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind from 1977 and The Innocents, which I think is pretty fascinating because Close Encounters is like a sci-fi alien horror that doesn't seem to have a lot in common thematically with this movie, but tonally and visually, there are some overlaps. This was Spain's official submission to the Best Foreign Language Film category at the 80th Annual Academy Awards. And fun fact, we are recording this the night of the Oscars. So that's kind of fun that this was an Oscar-nominated film, and we are not watching the Oscars to talk about it. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts page. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for The Orphanage in 2007?
Based on your surprise that it was doubled, I'm going to think it was very small. So I think this was $4 million.
Mikey, what do you think?
7.
Unfortunately, I have to break it to you that Paige was exactly right. It was $4 million. Yeah. But Mikey, if you adjust for inflation, that's almost $6 million at $5.9 million. Now, this movie came out in the U.S. on December 28th, 2007, so it's barely in 2007, and it was only in 19 theaters. Now, it was interesting, though, because it was in 19 theaters in its first week. It then went up to 69 theaters in its second week, and then it jumped again to 707. So, like, in its opening weekend, it was 27th, but in its third weekend, it was 16th, which is unfortunately the highest it got in the U.S., but it was in the theaters for a total of 15 weeks. But what do you think it made in the U.S. at the box office?
This was big at the time, but I don't know if it was big in theaters or if it was bigger in the home market after.
We'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
15 million.
I was going to say 20.
Okay, it only brought in 7.1 domestic, well, in the U.S. I'll say it that way because domestically for this movie would be Spain, I assume. And you did say it did really well over there. I only have the total, and it did $72 million over there. So on a $4 million budget, it still made money just in the U.S., but it made another $72 million in the international market. So a total of $79.2 million, which if you adjust for inflation would put that up at $117.8 million. Now, this movie also brought in an extra $8.1 million in the home market page, and that is in the U.S. So like it made more in the home market than it did in theaters. And I think it just like wasn't in many theaters. So the people who saw it were like, oh my God, you got to see this, and bought it on DVD and started making people watch it. And that's how it sort of became popular.
Because this came out while I was in film school, and I remember it making the rounds at the time, but on DVD mostly, or like midnight screenings and stuff like that.
Yeah, very cool. Anyway, that's your box office. So Mikey, you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, our scary scale is a scale of 1 to 10. How scary we found it today. Our one example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Paige.
This is, I'm going to say a 2, and the extra point is mainly for the orphans getting closer in that one scene.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 3 because there was a lot of tension that got like me irked, especially early on. And that one scene with the knock, 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 red light, green light thing was super scary.
I'm also going to give it a 3 because I thought it was pretty creepy the first viewing.
Yeah.
And that's our scary scale.
All right. So this week, you guys made us watch The Orphanage. So I don't know if you guys know this, but it was listener request.
It was listener request.
Yeah. So the listeners, as they, whittle it down from all the foreign horror movies that were suggested.
In their great wisdom.
In their great and infinite wisdom. They whittled it down to Terrified, Raw, High Tension, and The Sadness.
I'm excited for pretty much all of these, yes.
A lot of people were saying some things about The Sadness that made me very scared to watch that. But Terrified won the day with 42% of the vote. So we will be revisiting a director that we've talked about earlier in the month.
Okay, cool.
I'm actually very excited about this.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. Jake is going to be thrilled.
I'm excited about it. I hoped it won.
Yeah, I was hoping this would win too.
So your homework for next week is to watch Terrified and then report back for that episode. So Mike, do you have a review for us to read?
I do.
Well, why don't you go ahead and read it?
Thank you.
I'm not used to you having one ready, so it threw me off. Go.
Leaf Girl 1988 says, my favorite podcast.
Oh, why thank you.
I've been listening to this podcast for so long that I can't remember life. I can't remember how I found it, but I'm so glad I did. It took me some time to catch up on all the episodes and finally write my review. I love horror, and Yous Guys podcast has introduced me to new horror and new insights on old ones. I love how Paige and Todd include their industry knowledge to the show, and Mikey his mental health knowledge. The three of you are some of my favorite people. Paige, I love to quote you all the time. Todd, water, then pills all the way. Ugh.
Hell yeah.
And Mikey, I too really like teeth, but probably more because I'm a dental hygienist. All right, girl, where you at? You know what I'm saying?
Let me see them chompers.
Yes. The last year for me has been very hard, and re-listening to old episodes has gotten me through the hard times while I find my therapist while I find a therapist that isn't Mikey. Thank you. I am a terrible therapist. I am a crisis counselor. Yeah. Keep doing what you are doing. Thank you so much. My goal in life is to be on the Patreonicals one day. Well, you have set the bar low, so that's a smart goal. Achievable is one of those. Okay.
Achievable, yeah.
5 stars.
Well, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. Let me read this comment that was left under our Spotify episode for When Evil Lurks. And this one is from Samantha. And she said, Mikey should do more ad reads. No notes. Because of that's got to be the Factor ad, Mikey.
Well, we only recorded 20 that day. I had a bug in me, and that bug is Factor ads.
We had a lot of fun recording all those ads and in one sitting. And if you listen to all of them back to back as they came out chronologically, you can sort of hear some through lines, which I think is very funny. Anyway, so if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review or me read your Spotify comment, do one of those things and we will respond by reading it. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24 and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week. So just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/ToddAwesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/ToddAwesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. This episode brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been like driving her crazy. So how is Tia's teenager driving her crazy this week?
She keeps playing red light, green light, but only with ghosts.
That's a red flag in a relationship for me. I'm out. I'm not going to hang out with anybody who plays with ghosts.
Yep.
So Tia, you may want to consider similar options. Anyway, this episode also brought to you by Jonathan, and Jonathan wants me to make you guys watch some videos. So I'm going to steal your screen right now and make you watch this video that he sent to me just a few days ago. And this video from Jonathan is, Southern weather is impossible to predict. And it is. I live here. I know.
Interesting. This is a sketch, I think, right? This is a funny sketch. It's changing the temperatures each time it talks about it.
Our thermometers are working.
There's a lot going on in that video that I resonate with just because, I live in the South and it is a nightmare here sometimes. So Jonathan, thank you so much for the reminder and the support. We now return you to another pre-recorded episode of the Patreonicals.
All right. There's a huge battle going on, I think, and they make it to the big fortress of Isaac and Evil Matthew in the computer world. Kate has awoken her psychic powers in the computer world, like Neo or whatever.
So she uploads it to her psyche and she goes,
yeah, she's like,
I know telekinesis.
Yeah, she's like, we won't have to, or whatever.
Okay, that's not even the Matrix. That's Back to the Future 2. Or I guess it's the first one. Where we're going, we don't need roads. But it sets up 2.
Well, I'm talking about he won't even need to dodge bullets. It's fine. So they get to this thing, and then Isaac and Matthew were like, look, we're not actually here. These are just computer versions of stuff. Men, multiply yourself and kill them all. So men makes another 1,000. There's a big battle.
Okay.
Mr. Rage Bomb sending bombs everywhere. Arrows of light from Aaron are going everywhere.
Nice.
Natasha and Karun are choking them with their bare hands. Wes, who is transformed again into a giant jet ski, has just running over them all over.
I love that he's a jet ski that can operate out of water.
Yes, because it's the computer world.
Exactly. He floats on ones and zeros, Paige.
Allie is kicking people with her super strong ex-mermaid hands and feet.
Ex-mermaid hands, which, Paige, are also just like regular hands.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Easy's arms have transformed into alligators since he is from Florida and he is chomping the men's up. Jeremy's laser vision, of course, doing a bunch of stuff. Libby with her lightsaber cutting them up. There's thousands of them. There's a huge battle everywhere.
It's like when Neo fights Agent Smith at the end of The Matrix, except one of them has gator arms, which is awesome.
Exactly. Edward with his computer hammer is smashing heads in, they're disintegrating.
Nice.
And then Madeline's cartwheels are cutting people in half. They come to a really secure place, and Excalibur uses his power glove to hack it. And River Moon walks in, and it's Sunzi, the laddie child, and he's like, "You have freed me." And then Lara, the giant, the red guide, pops up and was like, I think Sunzi is not what they seem. And then Sunzi's like, "I will free you all." And then like it flashes, and they wake up in the real world.
Or is it? I guess we'll have to wait to find out on next week's episode of The Patreonicals.
That's going to be it for us, you guys, on Page.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Bye. It's 12:40 a.m. nerds.
Bye, y'all.